There are 5 kinds of questions that, the moment someone asks them, you should pause before answering. Not because you want to be rude, and not because you distrust the person asking. The reason is much deeper than that. Some questions have a way of opening doors in your life that are better left closed. When people answer them without thinking, they unknowingly expose parts of their lives that should remain protected. Over time, that exposure can invite pressure, comparison, envy, and expectations that slowly drain the energy behind a person's prosperity. In many ancient traditions, there is a belief that certain kinds of attention weaken what should be growing quietly. Jewish wisdom, which has been passed through families and communities for centuries, contains many teachings about guarding what is valuable through careful speech. In those teachings, prosperity is not only created through hard work and discipline, but also through the wisdom of knowing what should remain private. When someone reveals too much about their financial life, they sometimes invite problems that never would have appeared otherwise. Money can begin to disappear in strange ways. Opportunities can quietly fade. Relationships can shift. What once felt stable begins to feel fragile. Many people experience this and never understand why. They think it is bad luck, or timing, or coincidence, but older generations often understood something different. They understood that words have power, and that the things we reveal about our livelihood should be treated with the same care as something sacred. This idea is not new. It has been quietly taught in homes and communities for thousands of years. It was rarely shouted in public or written in obvious places. Instead, it was shared through stories, small pieces of advice, and the behavior of elders who seemed to understand life in ways that younger people could not yet see. A grandmother might say very little about money, but somehow always managed to keep stability in her home. A grandfather might smile and change the subject whenever someone asked a direct financial question. To a child, these habits could seem strange, even unnecessary, but with time, the wisdom behind them begins to make sense. People who survived hardship, displacement, economic collapse, or loss often learned that protecting certain parts of life was essential to rebuilding again and again. Speech itself became a kind of discipline. Knowing when to remain silent became a form of strength. I remember hearing stories about women and men who lived through incredibly difficult periods of history. They lost businesses, homes, and sometimes entire communities, yet some of them managed to rebuild more than once. When people asked how they did it, they rarely pointed only to intelligence or luck. Instead, they spoke about humility, discretion, and patience. They believed that prosperity grows best in quiet places. When something is constantly exposed to the opinions and curiosity of others, it becomes fragile. The energy around it changes. People start comparing, questioning, or expecting things from you that they never expected before. Slowly, the environment around your success becomes heavier. Even if nobody means harm, the result can still be damaging. One of the most common questions people ask is about income. Someone might casually say, "So how much do you make?" It sounds harmless, even friendly. In many cultures, people ask it without thinking. Yet answering that question directly often creates an invisible shift in the relationship between you and the person asking. Once a number is spoken, comparison begins. The other person might measure their life against yours. They might feel impressed, uncomfortable, inspired, or even resentful. You cannot control what emotions appear in someone else's mind once they know that number. What was once simply your livelihood becomes a point of judgment. Some people might treat you differently. Others might begin asking for help or expecting generosity in ways they never did before. Even small changes in how people see you can affect your opportunities and relationships over time. Older generations often handled this question differently. Instead of answering with numbers, they would respond with gratitude. They might say that they are thankful for what they have, or that their needs are being met. This kind of answer closes the door gently without creating offense. It keeps the conversation polite while protecting the private details of your life. In doing so, it preserves a boundary that many people no longer think about today. Another question that often appears in conversations is about savings. Someone might ask how much money you have put aside or whether you have a large financial cushion. Again, it may sound innocent, but revealing the exact amount you have saved can quickly turn your private preparation into something public. Once people know what resources you have available, they begin to relate to that money in ways you never intended. A relative might feel comfortable asking for a loan. A friend might expect support during a difficult time. A community group might assume you can contribute more than others. None of these requests are necessarily wrong, but when they all arrive together, they can slowly erode the stability you worked so hard to build. Savings are similar to seeds planted in the ground. When a seed is buried beneath soil, it has the darkness and protection it needs to grow roots. But if the seed is constantly exposed before it develops strength, it may never grow at all. In the same way, financial security often grows best when it is quietly maintained. Speaking about it too openly can attract demands and expectations that interrupt its growth. There is also another kind of question that people ask with curiosity rather than comparison. They want to know what you plan to do with your money. Maybe they hear that you are saving for something or that you have an idea for a future project. They ask about your plans, your strategy, or the dreams you hope to build. On the surface, this seems encouraging. Sharing dreams with others can feel exciting. Yet many wise people believe that plans should remain protected until they are fully formed. When a plan is still developing, it is sensitive to outside opinions. If you speak about it too early, people may doubt it, criticize it, or unintentionally redirect your thinking. Even well-meaning advice can weaken your confidence before the idea has matured. Anyone who has pursued a long-term goal understands this experience. You share a vision with a group of people and immediately hear a dozen different opinions. Some think it will fail. Others believe you should do it differently. A few might even try to act on the idea themselves. What began as a clear direction suddenly becomes clouded by noise. The original plan loses its focus. Many great ideas disappear, not because they were impossible, but because they were exposed too early. Another question that people ask frequently sounds very ordinary. They simply want to know whether you are doing well financially. It can come from genuine concern or casual conversation. Yet answering this question with too much detail can also create problems. If you say that everything is going wonderfully, the person listening may feel envy, even if they do not intend to. Envy is not always dramatic or obvious. Sometimes it appears quietly as discomfort or silent comparison. That subtle emotion can influence how people treat you in the future. On the other hand, if you answer by describing financial difficulties, you may unintentionally strengthen that sense of struggle in your own mind. Words shape how we experience reality. When we repeatedly describe ourselves as struggling, we reinforce that identity. The people around us begin to see us through that lens as well. Opportunities that might have appeared under different circumstances sometimes disappear because others assume we are not ready for them. Because of this, many elders preferred simple answers grounded in gratitude. They would say they were thankful for what they had or that they were managing. Such responses neither boast nor complain. They acknowledge life without inviting comparison or pity. The final question is perhaps the most painful because it often appears during moments of frustration. Someone might ask why you have not achieved more by now. It can come from relatives, partners, or even the voice inside your own mind. When people hear this question, they usually react in one of two ways. They become defensive and begin explaining every challenge they faced, or they accept the criticism and start believing that they truly failed. Both reactions can damage a person's confidence. Confidence plays a powerful role in prosperity. When people believe that their efforts matter and that improvement is possible, they continue moving forward even after setbacks. But when someone accepts the idea that they are fundamentally behind or incapable, their motivation fades. Opportunities pass unnoticed because the person no longer believes they deserve them. Over time, this internal doubt becomes more damaging than any financial mistake. Many wise teachers throughout history emphasized the importance of recognizing progress rather than dwelling only on shortcomings. Life unfolds in stages, and each person's path is different. The question worth asking is not why you have not done more in the past, but where you stand today and what direction you choose next. Focusing on the present allows growth to continue. Focusing only on perceived failure often freezes progress entirely. When we look at these 5 questions together, a clear pattern appears. Each one invites you to expose something personal about your livelihood. The amount you earn, the savings you hold, the plans you have, the condition of your finances, or the judgments surrounding your progress. None of these topics are inherently wrong. They simply belong in a small circle of trust rather than open conversation. Sharing them carelessly can create expectations, comparisons, and doubts that slowly interfere with prosperity. Throughout history, families that preserved stability across generations often followed an unspoken rule. They worked hard, remained generous when possible, and practiced discipline not only in spending but also in speech. They understood that privacy protects growth, By keeping certain matters within the family or within a trusted circle, they allowed their resources and plans to mature without outside pressure. This does not mean living in secrecy or isolation. It simply means recognizing that not every curiosity deserves an answer. Politeness does not require revealing everything about your life. A gentle response filled with gratitude or humility often says enough while maintaining your boundaries. In many ways, this approach reflects respect for the blessings you already have. The world today encourages constant sharing. People discuss salaries, investments, successes, and failures in public spaces more than ever before. Sometimes that openness can be helpful, especially when people are learning from one another, but wisdom reminds us that balance is important. Some things grow best in quiet places where they are not constantly measured or compared. Prosperity is influenced by many factors: effort, timing, opportunity, community, and sometimes simple luck. Yet the environment surrounding our efforts also matters. When we protect the most sensitive parts of our financial lives from unnecessary exposure, we create a calmer space for growth. Our plans develop without interference. Our confidence remains intact. Our relationships stay healthier because they are not built on comparison. The lessons passed through generations often appear simple on the surface. They might sound like small habits or polite manners, but behind them lies a deeper understanding of human nature. People react strongly to information about wealth and success. Those reactions can ripple outward in ways we do not expect. By choosing carefully what we reveal and what we keep private, we guide those ripples rather than being carried away by them. In the end, wisdom about money is not only about earning and saving. It is also about awareness. Awareness of how words shape perception, how perception shapes behavior, and how behavior shapes outcomes. When we speak thoughtfully, we protect the things that matter most, and when we protect them, they have a better chance to grow, endure, and support the lives we hope to build.